What's up, Mortgage Coach community? Dave Savage coming to you live with my wingman, Dan Keller. Dan, what's up, brother?
Hey, good morning, Mortgage Coach community.
So guys, I am trying to bring value every weekday of January to you. Something that is transformational, something that is helpful to you, something that could just take you to the next level. Yesterday we had Jonathan Roach and he killed it. How can you upgrade your vibe? How can you upgrade your energy? A lot of it was personal fitness, must watch call. Check it out. I wanted to have Dan, do one of these sessions with me this month. And this guest that I'm going to bring on is a close friend of mine. His name is Bob Beaudine. But I asked Dan, like, who should we bring on and do this together with? And he just went through this whole story around how the power of who and how Bob Beaudine has been a transformational leader to him. He's never met him in person. He wanted me to interview him, and I'm like, Dan, I want to do it with you. And he's like, literally, Bob, he was like giddy, like I could get to meet Bob Beaudine. So with that said, Bob Beaudine, welcome to the Mortgage Coach community, brother.
Man, fantastic to be with you both. It's a beautiful day in Dallas. The only thing could be better if the three of us were doing this together right here and like in my office. I mean, this would be just great. We're missing the hugs thing here. There's just something about being together, not isolated, not in any of this, but there's nobody that I love more than you, Dave. And so I tell you, just as a longtime friend, I said, and I probably know a ton of the people who are on the Mortgage Coach today, and I wish each and every one the best. I can't wait to talk today and lift you and encourage you as to where you are right now.
Well, Bob, you and I, when we met each other, I don't know how many years ago it was. I want to say 9 years, 8 years, it might've been a decade ago. We both shared the stage at Sales Mastery. And we had like a speaker's dinner with Todd Duncan. And then Bob and I, we sat next to each other and it just became a bromance. Like, I think we had 3 straight dinners together. Yeah. I think we spent like 5 hours together, 3 days in a row. When I go to Dallas, I often stay at Bob's house. I'll never forget the time that you let me bring one of my best friends to the dugout suite at the Rangers. And I got to meet former President George Bush and Nolan Ryan. I mean, you created a memory that I'll never forget, brother.
Yeah, that was a great day, I'll tell you. And he was cool. I mean, it was really fun. It was like we all were great friends the whole time. I mean, he just wanted to sit and talk to you.
Dude, he had an uncommon energy and connection. And then he literally made my day as he's leaving, I don't know, halfway through things, like, see you later, Big Red. And I'm like, dude, George W. called, I'm Big Red. Yeah. So I thought that, like I said, a memory I'll never forget. So Dan, let's bring you in. I want to moderate this, but Bob's a Who friend of mine. I hope you guys become Who friends. Why do you love the book so much? And then I'm going to let you kind of lead the conversation, the interview from a loan officer. Like, why should loan officers know who Bob Beaudine is, and why should they read his book? And so what's your backstory there?
Well, I fell in love with Bob because he's a baseball guy, man. I mean, I think you're on the board of directors with the Rangers, or I learned something about that a while back, and I'm a baseball guy, obviously, and so we had some commonalities there. But you introduced me to the book, Dave. I think it was in 2018, and it couldn't have been at a better time in my life. I was a new branch manager. My wife and I had just moved to a newer community. About 30 miles away from where we were born and raised. And so I was growing, I was expanding. And so you put this book in my lap and I read it and I just connected it was almost every, you wrote it for me. Because I'm that sales guy. And I know a lot of people on this call, a lot of people in real estate and in mortgage can relate to this. We're always on the hunt. We're always out to go meet new relationships, to get more deals, to get new deals. And in reality, and I've been able to apply this, and I had one of the greatest financial year of my life last year. Obviously, it was thanks to a refinance boom, but it was thanks to a lot of systems and a lot of business practices I had in place. And a lot of that came from the power of who. Not going out and trying to have, like the example that you gave, 5,300 friends or connections. You narrowed it down to 87 or 83. And that's where you ended up growing and making the most of your money. And that's really what this book has done for me. Is it's simplified business. And it's given me back kind of that. In 2018, I was kind of maybe lost, maybe a little bit burned out too. And it kind of gave me, it re-energized me to go, okay, hey, I like connecting with people like you. I think the whole thing with this COVID pandemic is you don't get to shake hands, give knuckles, give hugs like we used to, right? And I really like that. And that's a big part of how I like to do business. And so it just is from diving in, buying the workbook, and then just continuing to read it and continuing to apply what you teach in that book and what you write about. It's just been amazing, Bob.
So Dan, I want everybody in the audience to make sure they know Dan and what kind of production he did this year. So Dan, what were your numbers? How many loans did you close this year, and what kind of production did you do?
Yeah, per personal production was right around 190 million, and that was about 420 families that we were able to serve, and on a normal year for us, 100 million, 200 families, and so it was definitely an incredible 2020.
So everybody listening, I want you guys to back up. If you've ever heard interviews I've done with Dan, I mean, this was a guy that was a coach to college students. He was a college professor, and he was a baseball coach, and he was working insane hours, and he found the mortgage industry. And now anybody who knows the mortgage business, you know what kind of money Dan is making. I mean, it's generational wealth that he's making in transitioning careers. And I'm not here to say, hey, don't be a baseball coach, be a lone guy. But this is Dan's story. And the fact that he gravitated to this book the way that he did. And I think my biggest takeaway from The Power of Who, yeah, it's made me more money. Yeah, it's helped me build better business relationships. But two, it's made me create better friendships. And it's helped me, like when I do travel to a town and I have a high school buddy or I have a college buddy, I'll reach out to them and I'll do some life with them. So I'm like doing business and life in a more synergistic way. So Dan, you've got one of your heroes and one of your mentors on the call. What kind of questions do you have for him, and how do you think we should unpack this for other loan officers?
Yeah. Just as I introduced just a minute ago, I think we're out hunting and we're out trying to call 40 realtors every single Monday and call maybe 300 past clients. And I can't wait to hand this over to Bob so he can explain how to simplify that. You don't have to call the 40 realtors. You don't have to call the 300 past clients. Although you can, there might be a more efficient way. And I just think too, the second reason why I'm so excited, the timing couldn't be better. I think there's so much hate and negative media and just a lot of negative news right now in the United States right now. And I think, again, The Power of Who brings it back to love. It brings it back to, the little note that you write, the little text message that you send that Bob teaches. I bought 12 of your books. I bought more than 12, but specifically when I first met you, you told me buy 12 books, write this one little message inside the front cover and send them to your Who. And stuff like that. I think people need those words of encouragement today, especially today. So I'm so excited, Bob, just to have you on today and learn from you even more.
I appreciate that. I didn't set out to be an author, in a process. I didn't think I could write a memo. And so my dad on his deathbed, and my dad started an executive search firm in 1967, started the whole industry. He was out of McKinsey at Notre Dame, really smart, Mensa, really smart guy. And we had offices everywhere, and we just did CEOs of major companies. We do, every aspect of real estate, of insurance, banking, you name it, we kind of covered it. And so my business is similar a lot of times to yours. It's a relationship driven business. You have to go out, start. And so when you're doing every industry, which we're a generalist, I started to have questions that I was really starting to do and starting to, kind of come to. And that's when, I really stopped and looked one day that I had all these people, these 5,365 people that would say, hi, Bob, and then kind of, give me a hug and say hi and all of this nice. And I created a surface relationship. I didn't really go deep. I went wide. And so I stopped and did a study, which I think sometimes people need to do in their thing. They have specific things that you have to reevaluate and look at your client base and how often you're talking to them and what impact that you're having them. Because when I looked at mine, I looked at people who touched my life or gave me business, did something in some way that's so memorable that you're stopping and going, boy, when I met you, we kind of left planet Earth and kind of went up just a little bit higher, and our souls touched. And when you have those type of things, those are all clues in life and business. And of course, when I figured that out, I had only 87 people in my list, and I probably wished qualities on 47 of them. And so, the reality is, when I focused in on my who, of course, the people who matter most in your life. And that's what I'm going to, kind of do as I'm talking to people as they're looking on their business, because, today people are feeling, isolated from all this list of people that they have. They're all of a sudden are feeling like sad and worried and down, and their business could be off in some things, or you had a big push that you did initially in this process. But wherever you are today, the answer is what was yesterday and what is in tomorrow might, it could be, in my opinion, irrelevant. What are we doing today? And so it always gets back. I would have called the book The Power of Friendship, but it's ridiculous when you start to see what people call friends today. They're friendly, they're just not friends. And so we focus in on these specific people, and I started to identify problems that existed in this zone. And today in companies as a whole, and if you run a company today in a mortgage group and you have a bunch of people that are with you in your group, 87% of the people here don't have a program for friendship. They're not teaching this. They're teaching, get out and do your business as fast as you can. And so I tried to show stories in there, but I tried to show that less is better. Let's focus in on our who, these specific people. My business quadrupled. Yours just doubled. Your best year doubled this year. And it was why? Because you're a trusted advisor. You're somebody that they really knew. They really loved being with you. You reached out to them, and it wasn't like a surprise that you were touching with them. So I got so many stories to kind of tell. So, let's just kind of see where this goes and ask any question you want. And I'll kind of try to give a backload to why I wrote this book, because I think it eliminates a lot of fears.
Yeah. Yeah. And so what I would love for you to do, Bob, is kind of what you did for me. Before I purchased the book, what is the power of who? And explain to our listeners, mortgage loan officers, real estate agents, how that could impact their business, especially as we're transitioning into 2021, where that low-hanging fruit isn't going to be there. So relationships will matter more than ever.
Yeah. So the power of who is the byline that I say is that you already know everyone you need to know. Now that is an amazing line, in that I didn't say you wouldn't know everyone you need to know some future date, but for where you are today, we don't have to do any cold calls. We don't have to do any mass emails. We don't have to send out a bunch of stuff to a bunch of people. You already know all the people you need to know. The problem that exists in that is the question is have you fallen prey to believe that friends and business are taboo? And so, if, that's the world teaches us that we should do a thing for every aspect of our business. We should do something called networking, which is not working, which is faceless websites, handing out business cards to strangers, sending out, dear recruiter letters in my business, and you just kind of sending out stuff which people throw into the trash. And so, what if each of us were given specific people to help us in ways we never imagined? And what if those people aren't like happenstance acquaintances? What if they were strategically given to you to help you find that place in life you always dreamed about? What if we're missing destiny, which is what I was trying to share with you the first time, is that the destiny is what if getting your mom into a hospital, helping one of your friends' moms get into a hospital, getting something done for someone that you don't know over here. Okay. And being able to increase your business isn't about who you don't know, but whom you've neglected, your friends. And so your friends are much more powerful to you than you thought. Friends are different than acquaintances. Friends help you now, acquaintances wish you well. And friends kind of like have this song in your heart, and they know how to, and they know how to sing it back to you when you've forgotten the words. Friends. So what happens is that the power of who opens up a line of thinking that says, We can do business with our friends. We don't have to do it with a bunch of people we don't know. We can ask our friends, but we've been taught forever that friends, you don't ask your friends. In the South, they believe that asking your friends is rude. It's like, you just can't do that. So if you, Dan, and I are best friends. So Dan, if I asked you, if we're best friends and we've known each other for a while, I asked you for help, would you help me?
Absolutely.
Then why would you deny me the same joy of helping you? And see, it never works in reverse. And so your friends were created to help you. And so this permission to go to our friends and to stay in touch and to do business with our friends, and that our friends can do this, your friends would love to work with you. You got to ask them something specific and get to know them. And you can't like get on the phone with somebody and just start in your business. It's, hello, how are you? What are you doing? What's happening with your kids? What are you doing? What's your goals? What's your dreams? I was saying to someone the other day, when was the last time you had this just this unbelievably satisfying conversation with your mate or your friends, and where you really stopped and you were listened to, and you affirmed them and you encouraged them, and you just sat there and just flat out loved on them? I mean, how did you feel? Well, go ahead, just scream it out with me. You felt awesome. And so the only problem today is we're not doing those. So our little touches with people every single day with your friends, you're thinking you're not planting a garden here. And anybody who's in the mortgage business all the time that I've been doing for the last 10 years, this is like a field of dreams here. If you build it, what? Friendship. Your dream will come true. How would you do that first? Well, Zig Ziglar used to always say that. He lived in my neighborhood. He's one of the greatest. I mean, I've been going to his thing since I was 16 or something. And he lived in my neighborhood, and he's always, Bob, hey, he wants to talk. Come walk with me. Come do this with me. And we'd always talk. And he always said, if you want your dream to come true, you have to make other people's dreams come true. And so I really believe the power of who at its basis is that someone asked me a question this past week. I was doing a thing with a group called Og Mandino, who wrote a fantastic book, and the guy's CEO of The Greatest Salesman. And he said, so what's the 3 things you live your life by? And I said, God, my family and friends, and the person right in front of you. And so, wow, if the whole point of life is that you have people that are right here, your friends and things, help them. And then watch what happens when they want to help you. It doesn't come back just one. If when you start planting these seeds, they don't, if you plant a bean, it doesn't come back with one bean. It comes back with a crop of beans. And my whole point is, if you want to do something great, and the power of who just proves it, is that once we can identify our who, and we can start to love on them and stay in touch with them and text message them and see how we can get them and be on committees. And today I found in pandemics, you're one of 2 categories of people. You're a yes if or a no because. And yes if people, yeah. And so people ask you all the time for help. The answer that I have is, how many people really ask you for help? My point is, they don't ask you a lot. So my first statement is, for most of my friends, when they say something just wild, my first thought is, I wonder if I could do that. I wonder if I could help this person and get them connected and do something that's it actually is personal. And that's so bothersome and awkward for some people. No, leadership is personal. Everything we're doing about people, you were created for relationship. Okay. And God taught it, our heart knows it, but we've forgotten. And so the big hit here is that people are feeling really bad at the moment. They're sitting home and gosh, they feel isolated, and they're feeling alone. You're not alone. You got who? You have a community of friends that will come to your aid if you ask them. And most of the time we're not asking them. And so when I started to write this, people's lights all turned on and they started to grow.
So I want to jump in, because here's the deal, guys. We just covered, a little bit more about Bob. That Dan, someone that you respect a lot because he's on this stage so often, had a life-changing experience. It is all around doing business with people that you love, and also having permission to have business relationships where you love them. You go beyond these casual business relationships to really meaningful, lifelong relationships. It gives you permission to do that. And then it also reminds you that, guys, people that know you, they know someone. And I feel like at this point in my career, I have enough Who friends that I could get an introduction to just about anybody in the country if I had a reason and I needed it. So, guys, let's transition. And I would push you guys, you got to read the book, because Bob tells stories in that book that you'll never forget and that will touch you in your soul. So even though you're like listening to this call, I'm going to put a link to my first interview with Bob where we literally unpacked the power of the Who for the first time. But reading his book, studying it yourself, there's no substitute to it. And I would also say that when you're trying to recruit or turn a realtor into a Who friend, or you're trying to give them the gift of power of Who to where it's just a light bulb, there's no substitute. You can tell the stories, you can frame it, but you got to get them through the book for people to really adopt this mentality. But where I'd like to go, because I promised Bob I'd have him on and off this within 45 minutes, so we only got about 20 minutes left. I'd like to talk tactically. Like, I know, Bob, one of the biggest things that I pulled from Power of Who that I still use today is Who Friday. And I know that Dan is a Who Friday. He's on the Who Friday team because I've had Who calls from Dan on Fridays where he is just calling and he's doing the script. So I want to get tactical. Now, Dan, because you're a loan officer and you killed it, you read the book and you're applying it, I'm going to let you lead this. And if you could just, I want to get 3 Who tactics. Like, I buy into this concept, but what are some tactics that you got from the book? And let's, for the next 20 minutes, just talk about how to take action on this and what are some tactics and strategies that can be deployed.
Yeah, I've got 3 that I think are going to be amazing that we're going to have Bob unpack. The Who Friday is incredible. It's one of my favorite days of the week. It's funny, when I first met you, Bob, you were like, hey, when you implemented this, I think your company, your organization did. And it's funny, you said it wasn't a surprise that our biggest business day, our for production, from new relationships to closings, whatever, happens to be Friday because of that. And so for me, it's reaching out to my 12 and just sharing gratitude. And, Dave, our relationship, he's done so much for my wife. Like, again, Power of Who. My wife wanted to go to Club 33. Dave happened to have a connection, right? And it's not like Dave opened the door and paid the way. He opened the door to a connection. We've built that relationship and that connection. Everything you want in life, like you say, you have access to it. And so,
time out. I want to make sure everybody knows, and I'm not saying this to brag personally, but Club 33 is a private club at Disneyland that you have to know someone to get into, and you have to know someone to even be a member of Club 33. I mean, it's the elite. And Jenny wanted to go to that, and a friend of mine is a member, and he hooked her up. But it is a great Who example, Dan. But anyways, keep going, brother.
Yeah. And so I love, by the way, mortgage professionals, I absolutely love Fridays because it's a way, it makes my heart feel good. I don't go into it. I've never called Dave on a Friday with a business in mind. It's just sharing from the heart, how much I appreciate his friendship and everything he's done for me to help me grow my business. And we have the back and forth conversation. Hey, is there anything I can do? Is there an introduction that you need? Is there something I can do for you, Dave? And so I want to encourage you to listen to what Bob has to say about Who Friday. Bob, I'd love for you to explain something that I also do. It's a text message. It's a simple text message around your Who's. And then also, how do you create the list? Like, who is on your Who list? And I love the example that you give about Jesus. He had 12 disciples. So those 3 things, and I'll let you go with that.
Awesome. So Who Friday, like just exactly like you just said, is the best day for our business. It's unbelievable what has occurred in this business. And so it's a contrarian thought. So we work in our day up till about lunch, and then everyone in our firm stops working and we call our friends. And so I don't tell the people who they're supposed to call because they're written on your heart. And there's people that you have, and there's some people who extended beyond just our 12 friends, 3 close and 1 best that they want to call. And after you do this several times, your list can grow in this process. But our first call is to say, hey, I call you up and say, hey, how are you? And so you really want to listen to that statement when someone says it. They go, hey, how are you? Because my voice always goes up. It's such an amazing thing that I try to teach people is your energy. The energy between two people is what make great friendships and all of this. You carry this personal environment. And so when you're talking to people, it's coming across the phone. It's coming. I can hear it in your voice. I can hear something that's different because it's a different belief system that you have. And whatever that is, it's very, very exciting, and you want a piece of that. Whatever that is, I like to be around those type of people. And so when they say to me, hey, so how's it going? And they say, well, hey, it's all going okay. Well, okay's not great. And so I would normally, most people immediately sidestep and don't want to ask that question. Big mistake. No, we're going right in there. We're talking about your friends. You don't get many of these people. And when you do, you gotta be their friend. And so I always try to find out what it is that's going on in their life. And then I try to help them. And so one of the things that I say, oh my gosh, what happens? And what's going on? Well, I got this problem over here. And they'll lead you in so many different directions as to what's going on. And what's amazing is that could it be that kind of your call or wherever you are in your day, whatever you're doing on your Friday and whatever is happening during your week, that people cross your path. That's why it's so important to me. It's the person right in front of you. I just never miss out on the person right in front of me, that I'm going to stop and see that this could be a blessing that's so overwhelming for me in years to come, but my whole focus is on them. So on Fridays, what we do is we stop and see what's the problem and see if we could help. I happen to have I have 150 stories of people who all of a sudden I've found that I know the one person that they need to know. This is not about 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. This is so ridiculous. You know everyone you need to know. And if this person's asking, I bet you have some who could introduce you to someone. And usually the problem that I want the most is something that's hindering your wife, your mom, your dad, your kids, and I could get involved. And so when you get involved in helping someone with some facet of a coach, some facet of a advice, some facet of a loan. I mean, who could like better to be able to get a home and do something? But if you can help someone with any of this, with some strategic piece that could get them, I could get you a helmet, I could get you on the sidelines, I could get you in the pit, I could get you somewhere. We do that. And so what I've found in life is that this really is amazing and it works. And my business has grown on Fridays to be so big, so amazing that first and foremost, you just got to stop and say, how can I help you? So how can I personally help? And so people don't like to let other people help them, but we got these two parts of our brain, they drop endorphins and they make us euphorically happy. And one of them, okay, is giving and the other is gratitude. And that's what you talked about already, Dan. You were talking about how grateful you are to your 12. And now the opportunity for me to give. When someone doesn't, if you don't let someone help you, you're stopping my buzz. I can't tell my daughters and my wife and everything that I had a chance to do this today, which is a great teaching experience for my kids and all of what I've done. So on Fridays, everyone in our business gets involved with our people. In what way? Personal. So that means that if, hey, I'm about to move my apartment, my kids are doing something, I'm saying, hey, I wonder if I can come by and just give you an extra hand. I'm going to do something. If that meant, hey, I don't know what to do, I've got my dog and I can't do something, I'm helping you with your dog. And so that's number one. Number two is we do a thing that I consider to be the greatest tip in business you could get. And so I want to share that everyone has to get their pen out as we're about to say this, because, the text messages that we get today are transactional and it's just about business. That's how we've ruined. Social media has just got us, under a rock here. We are just, and we get them now and we don't like them. We used to do emails. We used to listen to voicemail. We don't even listen to voicemails anymore. We hate emails. But everybody's going to text and we'll see it. And hey, did you do this? Did you do that? So I decided so I sat one day, and one of the things that we came up with when I wrote my book, 2 Chairs, was I wrote a book, and everybody's got to read this book, 2 Chairs, because it's the next level up. And I'll tell you a little bit about that later. But during that time of quiet, sitting in quiet with God, I really got the thought and the pressure that we should write a text message to our family and our friends. And we should say 3 lines that I'm going to tell you, 3 lines that are life-changing. These are the 3 most affirming lines that you could possibly say. The first is that you're going to send it out, and you will send it to your mom or your dad. You'll send it to your mate. You'll send it to your best friend. Okay. You'll send it to other people who are in your neighbors' areas, your college roommate, people that you've touched with, anybody that all of a sudden you kind of feel, oh my gosh. You might send it to somebody that you used to have a great friendship and you just haven't talked to them in so long, and you feel like, oh, I can't do it. Here's the text. Hey, I was just thinking about you. Hey, comma, I was just thinking about you. Now that's a great line. Now, we're not sending this to a group message. We're sending this to an individual, and then we're going to hold it, select all, and copy it. And then we're going to send this same message. I do this at least 4 times a week, where I'm sending this out in some way. And I will tell you that my business on just this, and I don't do this for business, it's just the law of reciprocity. Hey, comma, I was just thinking about you. I wanted to tell you how much I appreciate your friendship, period. I wanted to tell you how much I appreciate your friendship, period. I love you. 3 lines. Now, these 3 lines are so simple, and yet they're so disruptive, because sending them to family members, our family, okay, the people you love don't understand the word friendship. And the people who are your friends don't understand this word called love. And so, can I really send that to people that I work with? Can I send that to clients? I do not have one client in the NFL, Major League Baseball, NBA, Ultimate Fighting Championships, tennis, golf, anywhere, that if I'm going to work with someone, that they're not going to say, hey, Bob, I just want to tell you I love you. And Dan, I'd say that. I mean, we have, it's just nothing. And of course, I say that to Dave all the time. We would never finish a conversation saying love. And the funny word about love is that there's 180 words in the Greek language for love. And we have one. So I love my wife, Cheryl, but I love tacos. So it's kind of confusing to some people that all of a sudden, hey, we have one word, and I just threw it into a box. So how could I say could I say this to somebody who works with me, who's a top woman and doing something as one of my top, loan people, or, lending people in some facet, or mortgage experts? Well, if I've been friends with them for 10 or 15 years, they know that I've been married for 38 years and love my wife. And the love word that I'm talking about is not the same word of love here, but I can tell you this, it's better than like. And so you send out this message. Hey, comma, I was just thinking about you. I want to tell you how much I appreciate your friendship. I love you. The response back initially, the first response from your mate or from your family, you have a 94% chance that they're going to send back, did you mean this for me? And that's just as unbelievable. That just tells you where we are right now. And so it's so crucial that this tactic, your response back to them is, no, I meant this for you. And so we're setting a stage. One of the great things that God said is there's no greater love than to lay your life down for a friend. Okay, so friendship is the ultimate greater love, because God wouldn't have created a world with just single people and widows and widowers not being able to get the greater love. So we got to get the message to people. I'm thinking about you. Could you imagine just sitting in your office and you've been doing something, your life is going wrong, you have these things, you can't read the newspapers, you can't all of a sudden listen to anything, you're totally bummed on just the fact you can't go to lunch and do this or that, can't do this because you got this. And somebody just said, hey, I was thinking about you. I wanted to tell you how much I appreciate your friendship. I love you. What do you say to that? Okay, did you mean this for me? Seriously? Question mark. I mean, and then all of a sudden your buddies, they come back and say, hey, have you been drinking? They're going to be sarcastic, and they're going to say, but in a pandemic, they might say, are you okay? Okay. And some people, our response again is only 3 responses back. That's the only thing. No, I meant this for you. No, I meant this for you. I love you. And if they come back, because of course they don't want to say the L word. I mean, listen to me, we're talking about business here. I'm talking about such a business statement. You want to get your friends to say the L word. You already can say it because you're sending out the text. So they come back and say, hey, ditto, Dan. Hey, great, buddy. Thank you so much. Or somebody along the way, your parent or your mom comes back and say, heart. That's not, they didn't say the L word. So we're going to send back, where's the love? Now, that's not harsh. That's actually driving us to where we want to go. And I'm telling you that what we're doing here is a strategy that's going to blow you out of the mind. Because when I go into a business and we're both going up for it, we walk into the client, that I watch, you're my competitor, you walk in, and when you come out, you shake the hand of the person, they go, thank you so much, you made a great obvious thing, and you did, thank you so much, I really appreciate you coming in. And then you're watching as I walk in, and as when I walk in, they hug me, they kiss me on the cheek. You're in trouble. You know why? Because they like you. They love me. There's a trust. There's something that someone will do something for you personal. Friends are different than acquaintances. Friends will do something that mere acquaintances wouldn't even consider doing something for you. And in your job, your whole role in this mortgage world is the trusted advisor. And how could you be a trusted advisor if you're not loved? And so this concept of us breaking this down. So we're going to send this out, and you just keep waiting until they do. And guess what? I can promise you, I've done this with 800,000 people so far, all across the globe. Everyone's going to come back and say, I love you. Now, some people are going to say to you, a clue about what Who Friday subject I was talking about first. They're going to say, I can't believe you just sent this. Some things have gone really wrong. And I'm so sad today. And then you sent this, and I so appreciate you. Now, I want to tell you tactically, as soon as you're done, you're calling them. And then you're going in all in to see how you can help. Now, you think that this is by chance. People, sometimes they can't believe it. No, there's no chance here. This is an opportunity that all trouble is an opportunity in disguise. The greatest opportunity, I mean, no one would come in my business if they didn't have trouble. No one in a market in theirs would want to do it. They want to get another house. They want to get a lake house. They want to have some land. They want to have a farm. They want to do something. And so who are they going to go to? Trusted advisor, people to love. And who would you go to when you stop and go, my gosh, I just got another text from Dan and from my buddy, Bob. And so it makes such a difference. You think these things don't make difference. They did this study, the sales study, that said it takes 5 times to call on someone to get their piece of business. And so 50% of Americans quit after the first call because they didn't get it right then. And that's ridiculous. Seriously, how arrogant can you possibly be that you were just going to come in and sell this? Number 2 is 30% quit after the second call. Dang, 10% quit after the 4th call. Only 10% go for the gold. I couldn't believe it when I looked back and did a study of all my calls, and I found that there were 2 people that I had called on that I had only called on 4 times and quit. Seriously, am I in for the deal or am I in for the relationship? Is it only that I call you and people feel you call them because you want to get a deal, or do you care about them? And so my whole point is everything to which we do, there's nothing I do in search trying to get a piece of business. I'm trying to love on you. I'm trying to see if I could help you. I'm trying to see how this is. Isn't it surprising that all of a sudden you get a bunch? You'd be surprised when I went out to these 2 people I flew out to visit them. I said, hey, I just read this book. It said, if I call on you 5 times, I get your piece of business. And they said, I hope this isn't our 5th time. Of course, the 2 calls were $285,000 worth of business. Now, I don't know how to explain that. I mean, maybe it's God laughing and saying that he cares more about people. People matter most. This is what we're always talking about. A hard nose that God taught us, and this. And so what was the 3rd question you had? What was the 3rd one?
Yeah, the 3rd really quick, because I know you got to wrap up.
Yeah.
The 3rd is, hey, how do you create this list of 12? And you give the example about Jesus and his 12 disciples.
So we've known for years that, we've had the most amazing thing is it's not about a lot of people. And so, I tell people it's about 12, 3, and 1. Your grandfather told you if you have 1 friend, you're blessed. If you have 3, you're rich. I mean, you might say, hey, I don't have it. And most people can't even name 3 friends. I mean, they're friendly. They got tons of people they talk about, but they don't actually, they're not calling them. And so, so I say Jesus had 12 friends, 3 close and 1 best. Even one of those you're going to have trouble with. And, 2,000 years later, he's still signing recruits, still doing deals. I mean, it's a model that still works all the way around, and it's a model that worked for you. You have to have a list. So one of the things that I'm pointing you in this book, the reason you want the book is this: you have to make a list. This is all about it. All it takes is one thought, one idea, one friend, and I can change the whole trajectory of your life, right? And so you have to have a list of who your who are. Who are the people in your life who matter? And so number two is you got to have a personal board of directors. And I need you to actually go through and have people on your board. These are people in your who, but they're people who are going to, who fit a specific role of mentoring you from your father, your mother, you're from all of a sudden, somebody who's all of a sudden your best friend, your mate. And then you have these spiritual advisors, people who are financial, legal, and of course, your life coach. We need this our whole life. In this group of people, it changes everything if you could have that. And so my whole thing is, if you could have, the biggest thing I want to finish with is I wrote a book called Two Chairs, and I just want to pump it just for a second, is that I had a friend of mine, he just read it. He was the head football coach for a group. And he said to me that, I just read your second book. I couldn't believe it. And he says, I've been, I could have really used the fact that I could have one chair for me and one for God. He says, I've been doing 22 years of quiet time with God, Bob. I just never knew I was the one who was supposed to be quiet. And so we have a relationship. So the problem today going out in our business is that I can't see any of my friends because I've got all these problems. And so I've come to grips in my life that there's a limit to what Bob can do. And we got to cast our cares so that once they're there, how would God know we trust him? Well, we'd go out and be cheerful for a day. And then I'd see Dan. Okay. I'd have a chance to see Dave. And then I wouldn't, when the first came up with my daughter, Allie, Rachel, some problem here, what happens is you lose vision. And don't do that today. Go out, be a difference maker, be a moment maker. Zig Ziglar used to say readers are leaders. And so get in and start reading some of these. It'll change your life.
I know why. I absolutely know why I love you so much, Bob. Zig Ziglar changed my life. He's a mentor of mine. He's a hero of mine. I actually got to see him speak here in Seattle before he passed. And I see so much of Zig through you. Everything a lot of what he taught. Every time you talk, I see it come out. When you write, I see it come out. So, man, I really, really appreciate your time. I want to encourage all mortgage professionals, real estate agents, anyone listening to this, go buy The Power of Who, read the book, reach out to Dave and I. We've practiced this. We can help give you real life best practices, but implement exactly what Bob's talking about. One last thing I want you to talk about, Bob. I want you to buy 12 books. I want you to send these out, mail these to your 12. What do you write in the front cover?
I like to say, hey, you're my best friend. You were created. You were my best friend. I just say, I like to say, hey, I start out and say, Bill, hey, you're my best friend. Okay. When you read this, okay, everything's going to change for you. And so then they'll come back and they just can't believe it. And so they're so excited to do this. So my first thought is, hey, get a book. The greatest thing I've ever seen. How many books do you get from somebody and they write a note in it personally for you? I mean, I love those books. And when someone just sends me a book and they say it, and I just want to show the book, I can't believe it. And so when someone does something and they tell you they love you, that they were thinking about you, they appreciate you, and that you're their best friend. And, I want to help you. Everything goes better. So
I love it.
Guys, this call has been incredible. When I posted this in Facebook, I said The Power of Who with Bob Beaudine and Dan Keller. I'm going to change the title when I put this in our YouTube channel. It's The Power of Love, guys. We live in a world where there's much more darkness and shades of gray than love. And we as mortgage professionals have the opportunity to bring love to our clients, to use that word more often, to bring more light to them. Guys, that's a competitive advantage. Your energy, your vibe, and your love for yourself and your love for your peers can be a competitive differentiator. So I hope you read this book. Bob, dude, every time I hear you tell these stories, like I knew it, like you were telling what to write, and I'm like, I'm going to just write it. but it charged me, even though I knew where the puck was going, because I've said that to people before. Now, guys, it's got to come from your heart. Like, although I think it would be fun to do it, even if you don't feel it, to send that to someone. But I would recommend, think of people you really love and say that, and expand what love means to you. Because that's what I got from meeting you, becoming friends with you. I use that word more with other people. And I really do have loving relationships with a lot more people that I would never have before. So Bob Beaudine, dude, you are the man. Give me a little knuckles.
I got it, dude.
Mortgage Coach community, I hope you love this. Share this with your friends. Share Bob's book. I will be bringing Bob back again this year. We'll be talking. He's got another book coming. And dude, what he has done with 2 chairs. Like, Bob, how many people have bought that book? It's just so mind-boggling.
It's so wild. I mean, it just had someone buy 265,000 copies. Wow. To go to prisons, military, first responders, social services. All of those really need it. And that's really, really good. And don't forget also, when people ask you why you're sending this note, say you were talking to a crazy guy and he said, if I sent these 3 lines, the most affirming lines in history, who would I choose to send it to? And you say, I chose you. It's a mind blower. Just what Dave said. Love people today. It's a competitive advantage, and it's the light we need to shine today.
Right on, guys. And time block this Friday for Who Friday, where you're going to show love. Call high school friends. Don't just call people that, they're strategically valuable to you. Call your single friends, guys. It's COVID. Single people need phone calls. They need the love. So get after it. Thank you very much, Bob. Thank you, Dan.
Love you. Hey, great being with you, Dan.
Love you, Bob. Take care.